In 1987, 1 gigabyte of flash memory cost a jaw-dropping $80,000, the price of a house at the time. To put that in perspective, what costs you pennies today once demanded a fortune. A single USB stick at 1987 prices would have cost over $1 million. For ordinary people, digital storage was a dream. Floppy disks and bulky hard drives ruled the day. Back then, only governments and corporations could afford flash memory. Yet that same memory, once as costly as gold, would soon become cheaper than candy. This is the story of how flash memory went from luxury to the invisible foundation of our digital world. In the early 1980s, Toshiba engineers searched for a way to create memory that could hold data even without power. Leading the effort was Dr. Fujio Masuoka, a man whose invention would quietly change the world. In 1984, he introduced a new type of memory, flash memory, named for how it could erase data in a flash. This first version, called NOR Flash, was fast and reliable, but painfully expensive. Still, NOR Flash found its place inside firmware, tiny programs baked into early electronics. For ordinary consumers, storage was still floppy disks, VHS tapes, and spinning hard drives. Flash remained a luxury technology, but inside Toshiba's labs, another breakthrough was brewing. If NOR Flash was the opening act, NAND Flash was the revolution. Introduced by Toshiba in 1987, NAND was designed to be denser, cheaper, and better suited for bulk storage. Unlike NOR, NAND stored data sequentially, making it perfect for holding large amounts of information. By the 1990s, NAND began appearing in memory cards for cameras and early MP3 players. USB flash drives soon followed, offering people a pocket-sized way to carry their files. For the first time, people could carry photos, music, and documents without disks or tapes. Prices were still high compared to hard drives, but NAND had lit the spark of a coming storage revolution. The early 2000s marked the moment flash memory truly entered everyday life. USB drives replaced floppy disks, offering sleek new ways to carry documents. Digital cameras exploded in popularity, and SD cards became the standard way to store thousands of photos. Then came Apple's iPod, 1,000 songs in your pocket, powered by NAND Flash. NAND made the iPod slim, durable, and shock-resistant, something spinning hard drives could never achieve. Smartphones soon followed. In 2007, the iPhone relied heavily on NAND to store apps, photos, and music. By then, the cost had dropped to around $10 per gigabyte, finally affordable for the mass market. Flash memory was no longer a curiosity. It was becoming a mainstream essential, ready to compete with hard drives. Between 2007 and 2014, flash memory prices went into a historic free fall. What once cost $10 per gigabyte dropped to just 27 cents. This wasn't luck, it was the result of relentless semiconductor innovation. Engineers shrank memory cells, boosted yields, and expanded wafer sizes to slash costs. Competition fueled the collapse, with Samsung, Toshiba, Micron, and Intel racing to lead the market. By 2014, SSDs were finally affordable enough to replace spinning hard drives in consumer laptops. For the first time, ordinary buyers could enjoy instant boot times and silent, lightning-fast storage. Flash had gone mainstream, and the revolution was only accelerating. By the early 2010s, flash engineers were hitting the limits of 2D planar NAND. Cells had been shrunk to their limits, any smaller, and they leaked charge or wore out too quickly. The solution was radical: instead of going smaller, go vertical. In 2013, Samsung unveiled the first 3D NAND, chips built by stacking memory cells in layers. The first versions had just 24 to 32 layers, soon it doubled, then doubled again. Today, chips with over 200 layers are mass-produced, with labs testing designs beyond 500. This breakthrough reignited scaling, making terabyte-level storage practical in phones and laptops. 3D NAND didn't just solve a technical wall, it extended the revolution for another decade. By the mid-2010s, many declared Moore's law dead as CPUs stopped doubling in speed. Transistor scaling had slowed, clock speeds plateaued, and progress seemed to stall. But in flash memory, Moore's law lived on through clever design and bold engineering. Instead of endlessly shrinking transistors, NAND engineers stacked vertically, redesigned memory cells, and optimized controllers. As a result, costs per gigabyte kept plummeting, even as CPU improvements slowed. Flash memory became the most successful example of exponential scaling in modern history. By the 2020s, flash memory was no longer just technology, it had become a geopolitical race. Samsung led the industry with vast factories in South Korea producing billions of gigabytes each year. Toshiba, now Kioxia, and US-based Micron remained powerful players in the global market. Intel once competed strongly but eventually exited the NAND business, shifting its focus elsewhere. Meanwhile, China entered the arena with YMTC, backed by massive state investment. This ignited what many called the Flash Wars, as nations poured billions into fabs and subsidies. Control over flash memory wasn't just about gadgets, it meant influence over cloud, AI, and the digital economy. In this race, flash memory became more than storage, it became a symbol of global power. Think about your daily life, the photos on your phone, the apps you use, the videos you stream. None of it would be possible without cheap NAND flash memory. When laptops shifted from hard drives to SSDs, they became faster, thinner, and quieter. Booting your computer in seconds instead of minutes? That's NAND at work. Smartphones grew from 8 gigabytes of storage to 256 and beyond, fueling the app economy. Cloud computing, streaming, and social media exist only because storage became so cheap. From AI servers to tiny IoT sensors, NAND has become the silent backbone of modern life. It's no longer a luxury, it's a utility, like electricity or running water. Here's a shocking fact. Today, storing data is cheaper than moving it. 1 terabyte of NAND now costs just a few dollars, less than a family meal. But powering and cooling that terabyte costs more than the storage itself. The bottleneck is no longer chips, it's the energy and infrastructure around them. In the 1980s, the idea of storing a terabyte was unimaginable. Today, it costs less than brewing a cup of coffee. This shift changes everything. Storage is practically free, but energy is the new frontier. Right now, engineers are producing NAND chips with more than 200 layers. In research labs, experimental designs are already pushing beyond 500 layers. But even NAND has its limits. At some point, physics pushes back. That's why researchers are exploring radical alternatives to traditional memory. One idea is DNA storage, holding exabytes of data inside a tiny vial. Another is glass storage, etched crystals that could last for thousands of years. And even quantum storage, harnessing the bizarre physics of qubits. Still, NAND is unlikely to disappear soon. It's too cheap, too reliable, too entrenched. The future will likely be hybrid, NAND for daily use, exotic tech for ultra-high density. In 1987, 1 gigabyte of flash memory cost $80,000. Today, that same gigabyte costs just 2 cents. That's a cost collapse of nearly 4 million times. Few technologies in history have scaled so dramatically. Flash memory enabled smartphones, the cloud, and even the rise of artificial intelligence. And yet, we barely notice it, it works quietly in the background of our digital lives. The next time you save a file or snap a photo, remember, you're holding a miracle of modern engineering. From $80,000 to pennies, flash memory became cheaper than imagination itself.